let's get some reaction from Mogadishu. I'm joined by Abdi Ismail Samatar, who's a geography professor at the University of Minnesota, but is in Mogadishu at the moment. Professor, what does this ruling mean for Somalia?
I think the Somali people should be, by and large, very happy, although they didn't get everything they wanted. But that's the nature of these kind of court decisions. It's both a legal judgment and a political judgment. And if you look at the number of cases that have been cited in the ruling, that's precisely what it is. So both Kenya and Somalia should be happy. Kenya, I think, was avaricious or greedy in trying to capture the whole territory, but now they got a slice of it, and they should be very happy with that as well.
Well, you say it's both a legal and a political ruling in favor of Somalia, but we also know that this is mainly an area that is rich in gas and oil reserves. Does the Somali government really believe that despite this ruling mostly being in their favor today, any multinational company will be coming to invest in there when Kenya is saying, hold on a minute, we don't agree with this?
Well, the Kenyan government has claimed over the years that it's a law-abiding society and country. And so if that's the case, this is the highest court in the world that has adjudicated this, and it has given part of the resource to Kenya and part of Somalia. And so I think the international business companies, whether they are Chinese or American or European, I think they will be willing to invest in this. But both countries should be mindful of the fact, because of global warming, these hydrocarbons are on their way out in the economy, and therefore they should not celebrate because of that. Maybe there's more to the resource in the form of fisheries that can be sustainable, and that's what everybody should be focusing on.
It's very interesting that you mentioned climate change in this particular context. Do you think that Kenya, will be willing to come to the table and have more discussions about what happens next?
I think there is a role here for the African Union, particularly the elder states people of this continent, to walk into this, take the case up, look at the court's decision, and try to figure out a way in which these countries can work together on the basis of this agreement or this court judgment. If the African Union and its leaders are unable to do that, others will be able to get into the act. And that would be a real shame for the continent, in my mind.
Yeah, but with Kenya declaring last week that it would not be accepting any judgment whatsoever from the ICJ. They said that on Friday last week or thereabouts. Can we expect them to respect any advice given by any other international body concerning this matter?
I think they will be compelled. What they should know that there's a whole territory in the northeast of the country of Kenya where the British conducted a plebiscite in 1963 as to whether that territory occupied by Somalis wanted to join Somalia. And something in the order of about close to 70% said yes. But that area remains part of Kenya, and Somalia has not disputed that very much. So Kenya and the government of Kenya, not the people of Kenya, but the government of Kenya has to be an internationally law-abiding country. If that's not the case, there will be more trouble for Kenyans from other sources as well, including Somalia, in my opinion.
Okay,
so
Professor,
it will be to Kenya's advantage to move on and accept this.
All right, Professor Abdi Ismail Samatar speaking to us there live from Mogadishu. Thank you very much. Let's have a look now at the Kenyan side of the argument. Dr. Mustafa Ali is the chairman and co-founder of the Horn International Institute for Strategic Studies based in Nairobi. This is not exactly what the Kenyan government wanted or even expected, but they do get some of the territory. Will they be happy with this?
Well, Kenya expected this kind of judgment, maybe even worse, and that's why it removed itself from this process. Kenya does not recognize ICJ's jurisdiction on this matter, and so there's really very little that can be done. Kenyan authorities already last week rejected any verdict outright from the court.
Well, they seem to have burnt their bridges with international jurisdiction, as you mentioned there, saying they won't accept any ICJ ruling. What option do they have left?
It's rather what option perhaps Somalia has. And if you look at previous cases adjudicated and judged by ICJ, none of those cases or judgments have been enforced. If you look at the Philippines and Chinese a dispute over Spratly Islands, the Chinese just decided that it's not going to recognize ICJ's jurisdiction on that, and has been calling for bilateral negotiations with Philippines. And this is the same case. I believe that the authorities in Kenya are going to call on Somalia to come back to the bilateral table and address these issues bilaterally, or engage with, as the previous speaker, Professor Samatar, talked about, the Africa Union, which has a program, the Africa Union border program, which should have been the first place to really go to address these issues rather than going to the ICJ. This has been the consistent argument by the Kenyan authorities.
But given this ruling is mostly in Somalia's favor, what incentive will they have now to come back to the table?
Because there is no enforcement mechanism that can be put in place by ICJ, I think Somalia should know very well that they can only have this particular dispute resolved bilaterally. Another case between Nigeria and Cameroon over the Bakassi Peninsula was judged for Cameroon. But what happened there is Cameroon and Nigeria went back under the so-called Green Tree Agreement and agreed to jointly demarcate the boundaries there, and actually established a joint commission to prospect for minerals, oil, and gas in the Bakassi Peninsula. So it's not too late for Somalia to come back to the negotiating table and start a kind of bilateral process between Kenya and Somalia to address the issues, so that the two countries can agree on the kind of a border that they want to have.
All right, Dr. Mustafa Ali from the Horn Institute, thank you very much for your insight into what is a very important ruling. Thank you very much.